From The National, this is Trending Middle East. I'm Yasmin Al-Taji. It's Tuesday, August 26th. Here are today's headlines. Israel has announced it would begin a phased withdrawal of its troops from Lebanon, but only after the Lebanese army starts implementing a government decision to disarm Hezbollah. That's according to a statement issued on Monday by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office. It came ahead of a visit to Beirut by U.S. envoys Tom Barrack and Morgan Ortagus following meetings in Israel. The National's Vanessa Ghanem reports.
That's from the Israeli side. Now, from the Lebanese side, both the Lebanese President Joseph Aoun and Prime Minister Nawaf Salam have repeatedly said that the decision to disarm any non-state actors or any armed factions across the country has been made, and this will take place before the end of the year. But Hezbollah doesn't seem to be cooperative in this regard.
The Lebanese army is expected to unveil its plan for implementing the disarmament plan for Hezbollah by the end of the month. But Israel made clear it expects the Lebanese army to start on the plan before it de-escalates. Hezbollah, meanwhile, has doubled down on its defiance of the prospect of disarming. Its leader, Naim Qassem, warned there would be, quote, no life, unquote, for Lebanon if the government confronted the group. Now, the sequencing of Hezbollah disarmament versus Israeli withdrawal is a major point of disagreement.
I spoke with a senior military source who told me that the army's plan is ready and that the Lebanese army is capable of delivering its plan to disarm Hezbollah by the end of this month, as it was requested by the government. However, if the army does not proceed with delivering the plan, that would be rather a political decision. And so everyone now is anticipating and is waiting for how Hezbollah would react. The military source also told me that Hezbollah does not appear willing to disarm without concessions or guarantees in return, and they are looking for an outcome or something in return.
Tensions are rising again between Israel and the Houthis. The rebel group in Yemen launched a missile with a cluster bomb warhead for the first time last week. Israel followed that with a strike on the Houthi-controlled capital of Sana'a and threats from senior ministers of strong retaliation. Fragments from the missile hit a home in central Israel on Friday but didn't cause any injuries, according to Israel's ambulance service. Israel's military bombed Sana'a on Sunday, killing 6 people and injuring more than 80. The National's Thomas Helm is here with more.
The Houthis have been firing at Israel since the beginning of the Gaza war. What's different about the latest attack was that the missile fired by the Houthis had a cluster munitions warhead on it, according to an investigation by Israel's Air Force. This is a new type of weapon that shows that the group, despite sustaining many heavy blows, is still able to develop its attacks on Israel and use more and more sophisticated weapons. This is interesting in the context of many of Israel's other adversaries which fire rockets at it being greatly weakened, in particular organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah.
The Houthis began firing on Israel shortly after the beginning of the war in Gaza. They've also attacked shipping in the Red Sea, causing major disruption. Israel has since carried out strikes on Yemen. The U.S. also launched strikes which President Donald Trump declared concluded in May. The deployment of the new weapon by the Houthis raises questions about the efficacy of the campaign against the group.
Retaliatory strikes on Sunday on the presidential palace in Sana'a, the capital controlled by the Houthis, and power plants and fuel storage facilities was trumpeted by the military as a significant disruption to the Houthis' military efforts. But Israeli experts themselves say that most of these targets seem quite symbolic and that Israel faces a long uphill struggle in not just targeting places that really damage the Houthis' capabilities, but of finding where these targets are in the first place. The Houthis are a relatively new enemy for Israel. It doesn't have nearly as much intelligence on them as it did, for example, long time and ostensibly more dangerous on paper adversaries such as Iran and Hezbollah. So this latest chapter is really just another example of how belligerent and complex an enemy the Houthis are for Israel, even if they don't present as much of an existential danger as other adversaries did.
Five journalists were among at least 20 people killed in Israeli attacks on Al Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza on Monday. The journalists killed include Hussam al-Masri, a photographer with Reuters, Mohammed Salama, a cameraman for Al Jazeera TV channel, Mariam Abu Da'a, a freelancer with AP and Independent Arabia, Ahmed Abu Aziz, who works for Quds Feed, and Muaz Abu Taha. The Israeli military claimed it would set up an inquiry as soon as possible and it, quote, regrets any harm to uninvolved individuals and does not target journalists, unquote. However, earlier in August, Israel acknowledged killing 6 journalists in a strike on a tent near Gaza City. 5 of them belonged to an Al Jazeera crew. The Committee to Protect Journalists has said more than 180 journalists have been killed since the war started on October 7th, 2023. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia's foreign minister has called on the international community to end Israel's crimes against Palestinians in Gaza and prevent Israel from occupying Gaza City. Regional and international condemnation of Israel is mounting over the worsening humanitarian crisis in the Strip. Last week, the UN declared a famine in Gaza City. That's after months of Israeli restrictions that cut off food and water supplies to more than 2 million people. That's all for this morning's headlines. You can get these stories and follow our live coverage at thenationalnews.com. Yasmin Altaji, The National.